Language, it's so much more than just stringing words together, isn't
Oh,
it?
absolutely, like a living archive.
Yeah, a dynamic thing carrying history, culture, the whole soul of a people across time.
Hmm.
And today, that's exactly what we're diving into. How language, and we're focusing on Turkish here, really acts as a cultural cornerstone, how it preserves traditions, values, identity.
Right. And the source material we're looking at, it offers this really rich tapestry of insights.
Eh,
We'll be digging into specific linguistic patterns,
Okay.
these deep oral traditions, powerful literary works, things that don't just shape Turkish culture, but, adapt and keep going over time.
Adapt and endure.
It's a fascinating look at language, not just as a tool, but as something active, something that shapes reality.
A living entity. I like how you put that. So, as we explore these sources, we'll unpack how certain phrases carry such deep meaning, how old stories still hit home,
Exactly.
and maybe what role this whole linguistic heritage plays for you, the listener, in just understanding culture itself on a really basic level.
Hmm. So our sources jump right in, highlighting language as way more than just talking. Can you maybe unpack that idea of it being this unseen foundation for cultural identity,
Mhm.
defining customs, memory, all that?
Well, yeah, language isn't just a channel, right? It performs a vital cultural function.
Cultural function.
Meaning, in certain cultural settings, the words themselves don't just describe something, they do something. They enact it.
Ah,
Think
right.
about a blessing or maybe a traditional greeting. It's not just info, it literally changes the social moment or reinforces that community
Is
feeling.
it the how it's said?
Exactly. It's how things are said, the specific patterns that carry enormous weight in traditions, ceremonies, you name it.
Which brings us right to what the sources call these fixed linguistic patterns, like those everyday phrases we almost automatically use in ceremonies.
Mm-hmm.
You probably use them in your own culture without even thinking. But what's really going on there, beyond just being polite, well, they're not just polite niceties. They're more like linguistic rituals.
Mm-hmm.
Our sources give some great Turkish examples,
Okay. Like what?
like Başınız sağ olsun for
Nah.
condolences. It translates literally to may your head be healthy.
Oh, interesting. Different from just sorry for your loss.
Very different. Or for weddings, Allah Mazut Edson, may God make them happy. For general good wishes, Hayırlı olsun, like may it be auspicious.
Right.
And for accepting prayers, Allah kabul etsin. The key insight here is that because they're automatic, because they're shared,
Yeah.
they kind of lift the burden of finding words in these really emotional moments. They offer this pre-approved, culturally okay way to express things together.
Ah, so it helps bind people together.
Exactly. Solidifies those social bonds, ensures everyone feels connected.
It reminds me of that anecdote in the sources at a funeral. Instead of just, a simple, sorry, you'd hear, Başın sağ olsun, mekanı cennet olsun.
May your head be healthy. May his place be heaven.
Yeah. And at a wedding, Allah bir yastıkta kokatsın. May God make you grow old on one pillow.
Mm-hmm. Such evocative imagery.
It's striking, isn't it, how these phrases, focusing on resilience or a shared future, they connect people on this deeper emotional level. It creates this unified experience, whether it's joy or sorrow.
Absolutely. It's that shared script again.
So if those shared greetings cement our present, what about the echoes from the past, those whispers from childhood that kind of shape us?
You mean oral traditions?
Exactly. Lullabies, riddles, folk poems. Did you grow up with things like that? What do they mean to you, expert? What's the Depper cultural engine running in these really intimate expressions?
Well, the source material points to the Dandini Dandini Dastana lullaby as a perfect case.
Okay.
These oral bits, they're so much more than just, entertainment or making a baby feel comfy. They're critical for passing on cultural values,
Oh,
for building this deep sense of security in kids and really strengthening family ties. They're basically emotional and cultural transfer tools.
yeah. Transfer tools.
Yeah, linking generations through shared sound, shared meaning. A kid hearing these, they're not just hearing a tune, they're soaking in the rhythm, the values, the whole emotional landscape of their heritage, often before they even grasp the words themselves.
Wow. And speaking of getting a lot packed into a few words, idioms and proverbs.
Ah, yes, the condensed wisdom.
Right. Have you ever tried explaining something using one? It's tricky sometimes. Expert, how do these little linguistic nuggets really mirror a society's core values, its way of thinking?
They're like concentrated cultural philosophy, honestly. A shortcut to understanding a society's mindset.
Okay, give us an example.
Take the Turkish proverb, "Akaleşi şeytan karışır," literally, devil meddles in hasty work.
Okay, so don't rush.
Well, yeah, but it's more than that. It reflects this cultural leaning towards caution, thoroughness.
Yeah.
Suggests important things need patience to avoid, bad outcome.
Right, the devil getting involved?
Exactly. Or how about azuchikasham, kagisasbasham, little food, carefree head.
I like that one.
It perfectly shows a value placed on contentment, peace, over maybe endless ambition. Material stuff isn't the ultimate goal.
A different perspective on success.
Definitely. And one more, komshu komshunun kulune mutaster. Neighbor needs neighbor's ash.
Ash, like from a fire.
Yeah. It highlights this deeply ingrained culture of helping each other out, cooperation, interdependence in the community. You rely on your neighbors.
It strikes me how concise these are. They don't just communicate an idea. It feels like they deliver a whole worldview in a tiny package. Is that part of their power?
Absolutely. That's precisely it. They offer succinct, impactful communication. They add layers of meaning a plain statement just wouldn't have.
Right.
When you use a proverb, you're not just stating your opinion. You're tapping into this shared wisdom, this cultural shorthand. It makes the message stronger, resonates more within that community.
Okay, let's broaden out now to literary works, things like epic poems, novels. Our sources point to these as vital keepers of cultural and historical memory. How do they really work as bridges between a culture's past and its future?
Well, when you look at figures like Yunus Emre, whose poems are mentioned in the sources,
Yeah.
you see it beautifully. His writing, it's not just lovely poetry. It vividly reflects the beliefs, the values, the whole outlook of people from his time.
So it's more than just history facts.
Oh, much more. It helps us understand our own present by showing us the roots of current patterns in society. And beyond just the content, the literary works themselves, they become material heritage.
Material heritage? You mean the physical books?
Exactly. The physical texts, old manuscripts, early printed versions, these are tangible artifacts holding the culture's memory.
Okay.
And they directly inspire other art forms, right? Theater, movies, TV shows. This keeps those cultural values and stories alive, makes them accessible for new generations.
So literature is genuinely this dynamic bridge.
A dynamic bridge between the past and the future. Yes, absolutely.
You mentioned how literature embodies cultural values. Let's zoom in on oral epics for a moment. What makes a story like the Kurolu Dastanya, the Epic of Kurolu, so fundamental in showing what a society really holds dear?
Ah, the Kurolu epic. It's a powerful example because it kind of embodies a collective conscience.
How so?
It champions these core values: bravery, justice, freedom. It features this folk hero figure who actively rebels against unfair rulers.
So it's more than just an adventure story.
Much more. It's a narrative that spells out a society's deep-seated desire for fairness, for autonomy.
Yeah.
Certain lines from the epic really drive this home.
Like what?
Well, there's Tufek ikat oldu, marilik bozuldu.
Meaning?
Gun invented, valor corrupted. It expresses this deep regret about losing, traditional honorable ways of fighting.
Wow, that's potent.
Isn't it? Or Kosijitler maiden ister, daryabiza gurda day. Brave men want open fields. Narrow places are not for us.
Spirit of courage, wanting freedom.
Exactly. Aversion to being hemmed in.
Yeah.
These works, they reveal not just what a society admires, but its fears, its hopes, its enduring dreams.
You touched on how language unifies communities earlier, especially in big moments. Could you say a bit more about maybe the psychological or social impact of using these specific Turkish phrases during, say, a wedding or a funeral?
Yes, it's quite profound, actually. As the sources emphasize, those specific phrases at weddings, like Allah mesut etsin or bir yastıkta kokayen.
May you grow old on one pillow, right?
Yeah, they really support the new beginning. They extend the society's blessing onto the couple. And then, conversely, at funerals, phrases like Başınız sağ olsun and Allah rahmet eylesin.
They help manage the grief.
They facilitate shared grief, yes, and solidarity. These patterns are so deeply embedded that when people hear them, it's not just politeness, it's a recognition of a shared cultural grasp of that moment.
So it makes people feel less isolated.
Exactly. Less alone. They act as these crucial binders for emotional wholeness, for social belonging. They reinforce that powerful sense of community during life's biggest transitions.
Like a predictable structure in emotional times.
Precisely. A comforting, predictable structure.
That really brings up a fascinating comparison point. How do these Turkish patterns, with their focus on shared emotion, on solidarity, stack up against expressions in other cultures, thinking particularly about congratulations or condolences?
It's an interesting contrast. When you compare Turkish patterns to, say, those common in many English-speaking cultures, you often see a difference in emphasis.
How so?
For happy events in Turkish, you've got Hayırlı olsun, Allah tamamına erdirsin, may God bring it to a good end, or Gözünüz aydın, may your eyes be bright with joy.
Very expressive.
Very. And for condolences, başınız sağ olsun, Allah rahmet eylesin, may God have mercy, mekanı cennet olsun, may their place be heaven. These often carry real emotional weight. They frequently tap into shared religious or historical ideas.
Highlighting that communal feeling.
Yeah. Exactly. A deep, shared sense of emotion and support. Now, by contrast, in many English-speaking contexts, the expressions might be more direct or generalized.
Like congratulations or sorry for your loss.
Right. And this isn't saying one is better, of course. It's just an observation of a different cultural emphasis, perhaps reflecting a more individual focus on expressing emotion versus the Turkish focus on that communal solidarity.
And this distinct layering of meaning, these cultural specifics, they can sometimes lead to, well, interesting mix-ups between cultures, right?
Oh, definitely.
I remember hearing about someone trying to translate an idiom literally, and it just caused confusion. Expert, what are the real implications when these traditional idioms, these metaphors, get misunderstood?
It's a huge risk, actually.
Yeah.
And the results can range from just funny misunderstandings to creating real cultural gaps.
Yeah.
Our sources mention examples like kuladelik biri, means someone experienced, knowledgeable.
Okay.
But literally, it's someone with a pierced ear. If you take that literally, well, you see the confusion.
Right, you'd be looking for jewelry.
Exactly. Or burnundan kila dormuyor, means someone proud, stubborn. Literally doesn't let a hair be taken from their nose. Again, bizarre if taken literally.
So context is everything.
Absolutely vital. It highlights the need for real care or explanation when using these phrases across cultures. And this ties right into a big challenge today. The threat of disappearance for these traditional language patterns.
How so? What's the threat?
Well, globalization, the speed of social media, digital communication, the huge influence of languages like English. Unintentionally, all this can chip away at cultural diversity by eroding these unique traditional ways of speaking.
That's a serious concern. Given that potential loss, what responsibility do we have as individuals, as societies, to preserve this incredibly rich heritage?
It's a shared responsibility, really.
Yeah.
Individuals play a huge part. Just using these expressions daily, teaching them to kids, spreading them through media, those are crucial acts of preservation.
Making it part of everyday life.
Yes. And for societies, it means weaving them into education, into cultural events, into literature, maybe even things like idiom and proverb days in schools, as the sources suggest.
A proverb day is interesting.
The key is reinforcing that these expressions aren't just language, they are identity. Preserving them means keeping cultural memory alive.
Ensuring future generations can still tap into that wisdom.
Precisely. Access and understand the deep knowledge embedded in their linguistic past.
So as we start to wrap up this deep dive, let's think globally for a second. What about the role of oral culture folktales, legends in fostering understanding between cultures? How do these stories act as bridges in our connected world?
It's a truly profound part of oral culture. Our sources bring up Leyla Ilmeknin.
The classic love story.
Right, reflecting this idealized love. And then contrast it with something like Japan's Momotaro, which focuses on heroism, family values.
Different stories, different values.
Different specifics, yes. But when you compare stories like these from various cultures, you don't just see the differences in style or values, you also uncover these universal human threads.
Ah, the common ground.
Exactly. Themes of love, bravery, sacrifice, community, they resonate everywhere. And that process, that comparison, it helps replace prejudice with understanding. It shows how much we actually share.
Making oral culture a powerful bridge.
A truly powerful
Yep.
bridge in intercultural dialogue, absolutely.
So as we close out this deep dive, the core takeaway seems crystal clear. Language isn't just a communication tool. Not at all.
Not even close.
It's this dynamic, living piece of a culture's soul. It carries its history, its values, its deepest emotions right through time.
And understanding that cultural function of language, it really gives you this unique lens, a way into a society's heart, its mind.
Yeah.
It provides those genuine aha moments about the whole human experience, how we connect, grieve, celebrate, define ourselves, all through the very fabric of our words.
So for you, our listener, here's a final thought to chew on. What traditional expressions or maybe oral stories from your own culture do you really cherish? And what deeper, maybe often unseen wisdom do those seemingly simple nuggets of language carry forward for the generations to come?